Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Friday's Zoom call. Thank you so much for joining today. Today we're talking about partnership, and speaking of partners, I have my partners that are going to be joining in today, but they are wrapping up a couple of things. We commit to doing this call every single week, and even through all the chaos and new exciting things that we have going on, we want to stay committed to doing this call because we know how much it helps so many people. And that is our mission. That is our purpose, is to help other people grow and scale their automotive shops. So welcome. We'll also be sharing a recording of this video. So I am your host today. My name is Jena Kranz. You can follow me on Facebook, Jena, Jena, last name Kranz, Kranz, on Facebook or Instagram, and we can connect and you can follow my content. I also have a podcast on Spotify, so you can join there. It's Automotive Upscale. We have changed the name of our company, Automotive Upscale. And I have a new podcast actually dropping today, but there are other episodes on there that you can tune into to help you grow and scale your business. So today we're talking about partnership. And this is one of those topics that it comes up a lot. And a lot of people, I think that they make partnership, they either dismiss it completely or they overlook a lot of really important factors and insight on what to really look for when you're choosing a partner. In business today, that's exactly what we're talking about in business. Now, you can plug this into your personal life and choosing a partner in your personal life. I'm sure a lot of the information that we provide today can even bring you value in a relationship. Okay. At the end of the day, I consider relationships business. So, and that's my own personal preference. I know, no shame on anybody else who doesn't, but my whole life revolves around my business, and that's, how I like it. And Ryan and I are on the same page with that, so it works for us. Welcome, Andrew. Welcome. So we are okay. Well, I am going through this allergy phase. This is not a pity party, but if my voice cracks, I'm sorry. Just let me regroup. So I want to tune in with you. Partnership. When you think about partnership, what do you think about? What comes to mind?
So for me, it's all about alignment. I think
That was
uh, regardless of the type of relationship, whether it's business relationship, personal relationship, you have to make sure that you guys are aligned. Both parties are working towards the same goals. They have similar visions, same values. All of that is important in maintaining a healthy relationship in any regard.
absolutely. Because really, at the end of the day, you're like kind of getting married.
Yeah, I know people have different perspectives, but when it comes to business partnerships, 100%.
Yeah.
You're literally agreeing to be legally bound to this other person or multiple people, at least in regards to business.
Yeah. For however long. That could
Exactly.
be, until you sell or, whatever happens. But it could be for an extended period of time. And you're going to have to collaborate with this person and have discussions, great discussions, very positive discussions, but also very challenging discussions and uncomfortable discussions. So that's why alignment is so important. And, when I think about partnership, I just think like powerhouse. And I think that for me is what has allowed me to grow so much over the years. Because for so many years, I was like, absolutely not on partnerships. I was very turned off to it. And I mean, you know this about me. You counsel me through this still to this day. But I think for me now, I see the power of partnership and I know the benefits of partnership and why it can help towards explosive growth. keyword explosive growth, but it has to be the right people. And you have to really go through a thorough screening process when you're choosing these people. Cause I mean, I see it a lot where people just kind of choose partners because like they both know how to work a wrench and they both know their way around an automotive shop and they both kind of know the skill and they're like, hey, let's just team up and let's go start a business together. We both detail cars and let's do it. And then they do all the paperwork and they become legally binding. And I don't think they know. I just heard a crash in my house. Give me 1 second. You can continue the call. Hold on 1 second.
Okay. So kind of building off of what Jen is saying, just with the importance of knowing that person, I think it's very important to take the time to get to know who you're partnering with on a personal level before you actually sign those agreements and you jump into business with them. And the reason for that is because, if you rush into that relationship and then things come out later that you didn't know about. Maybe your business partner is bad at managing money. So a year into your business relationship, they're taking money from the business. It would have been better to know about that beforehand and really contemplate that business relationship versus having to deal with the legal challenges that you could be facing as business partners at that point in time. You just want to vet the people that you're going to do business with.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry about that. We had a gate come over in my hallway and so, motherhood and business. This is a partnership here at this house too with my kids. Yeah, so I kind of missed what you said, but I heard legal.
Yeah,
Legal.
so I gave the example of if you don't take the time to really get to know your business partner on a deeper level, there could be unknown qualities or traits that come up later down the road. Like say one partner is bad at managing money, and then a year
Yeah.
into the relationship, they're taking money from the business. That could be avoided if you just spent the time getting to know them before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have that in my notes here and I want to kind of cover I'm sure that you have a lot as well and it's going to be very very similar. But let's kind of talk about let's kind of go into that. I have alignment, but kind of the red flags and like what to consider in partnership. So one thing that I have is exactly what you said and it was number 1 on my list is stats and history.
Yeah.
So like, I want to know exactly what your stats are, what you've accomplished, what you've actually been successful at. And it like, even if it came to an end, it was still a success. It was still a win, meaning maybe selling your business, or it's still running, it's still operating. What does that look like? Or maybe this person has never owned a business and like personally, but they've worked in an executive role within a company and they have built that company with their leadership team and they've contributed a big part of the success of that company. So it's not just necessarily owning the business, but what have you done for a business? And based on your efforts, how did that business thrive? So really like investigating the stats and the history of the potential partner is really critical.
Yeah, 100%. I would even go as far as saying, knowing about their failures. I think a lot of growth comes from failing. And
Absolutely.
so that would be, what I would want to focus on as well. Just like what businesses have you been a part of? What failures did you overcome? Um, you know, those experiences are going to teach someone how to persevere and improve upon, whatever they learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And a failure doesn't automatically disqualify a partner. But it's how they look and what they learned from those failures. Like how did they receive that failure?
Exactly. I think failure is a part of business. I've told you about a lot of my failures. I've worked for
Absolutely.
companies that no longer exist today, and you know, I've learned a lot from that though.
Yeah.
And I think someone being able to, accept like, yeah, I've failed before, but here's what I've learned from it, that's valuable,
Yeah, like being able to pinpoint like where you fell off the tracks.
Exactly.
Now, which kind of leads, and I don't want to get off topic of like all the red flags, but if they can pinpoint where they fell off the tracks and where their weaknesses were that really affected their outcomes, this is the perfect scenario for a partnership because they may have excelled tremendously in another area that maybe you don't really excel at and you're not really great at. That's why you and I work so great together because we are like polar opposite.
Yes,
You know what I mean? So looking at that and saying, you know what, I can fill that part though.
exactly. Yeah, and that's what a good partnership should be. If you're both strong in the same areas, it's probably not going to work so well. Whereas if you can bring people together and their each person's strengths and weaknesses balance out amongst the partnership, then that's ideal.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So when you're looking at the red flags and the risk, another thing I have highlighted here is their current lifestyle. So, or like what type of lifestyle are they living? Are they able to keep up with that lifestyle? Are they living outside of their means? Like kind of what does that look like? And where are they at? Because it, like depending on your business, if your business is newer, and we all know starting out in business, it's, you got to build momentum, you got to build the money, you got to build the cash flow, and that takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And if somebody's trying to maintain a lifestyle that they're not willing to kind of step back on a little bit for a moment in order to get this up, meaning no sacrifice, and it all depends on like where they're at in the journey. Like if they are obviously liquid and they can support that, totally fine. But if they can't and they're relying solely on this business to maintain that, I think that's a huge red flag.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like
And
just
and
living outside of what they actually can.
right, right. I won't dive too deep into that, but I feel very strongly about living below your means. Just because
Yeah.
you make a certain amount of money doesn't mean you should spend that amount of money. But when it comes to entrepreneurship, like if you're running a business, the business has to be number one. And as the owner of the company, if the business isn't profitable, unfortunately, you're not making money. And that just has to be understood, especially in a partnership. There can be an expectation that the partners are going to make a lot of money right out of the gate because there has to be that time spent building the business up. And if that's not made clear and both partners aren't on the same page, you're going to have issues later down the road.
Yeah, because I think kind of tampering with somebody's lifestyle that they're not like mentally and emotionally prepared to like tamper with, that's going to lead to like some, lion in a cage, like tension. And that's not what you want. You want
Oh,
everybody to be like fluid. You want everybody to be able to be themselves. You also don't want anybody walking on eggshells, but if somebody's like rattling that cage a little bit and that wasn't really talked about, I think that it could lead to some conflict for sure. And then the business is ultimately going to suffer.
yeah, definitely. That's the importance of setting expectations early on.
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on this, is just values, and the ethics and the ethical standards and the core values. And like, this is really, really important. And like, what comes to my mind in partnership is that, like, when it comes to employees, because like the saddest thing to me is when irresponsible business owners take it out on their employees in every way, right? Like it could be financially, like not taking care of them, kind of treating them poorly, messing with their emotions, like not being like kind of being a toxic environment and like just not building the best atmosphere and culture possible. Like that bugs me. And like for me personally, if I was in a partnership with somebody who didn't value people and like we didn't like we had really misaligned values when it came to like how we talk to our staff, how we treat them, how we accommodate them, how we help, train them and build them up. That that would be really hard for me.
Oh yeah. So that's one of the red flags that I wrote down is just how do they treat people? That's something you want to look for early on. And my suggestion would be, spending time with this person, a decent amount of time, and making that observation. How do they
Yeah.
treat your employees? How do they treat their team? Are they transparent? Do they communicate well? Are they, do they value people? That's huge. I know it's huge for us, but that is necessary when building an organization, especially if the goal is to grow.
Yeah. Take them to a restaurant and see how they treat the waiter.
Yeah, I would say because what we did, we went on a business trip together. Like go on a trip, spend a
Oh,
lot of time with this person and really see how they interact with people just on the regular day to day.
yeah. How are they like, how are they traveling? Are they super unorganized? Are they late? Are they fumbling? Are they stressed? Are they treating the people at the ticket counter like shit? Like how do they show up with their baggage basically, you want to know 100%. Yeah, so I think, yeah, like how you treat people, that's a big one for me. That is a 1000% deal breaker.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That just for me that says so much about a person's character. You have to value people no matter their status, regardless of that. You have to value people at the human level.
100% humility, respect, dignity, integrity, all of those things. Another thing here, this kind of goes back into how you value people. Some people are going to think I'm absolutely crazy for putting this one. I know you won't though. What does the support of their spouse look like? So if you're going to have a partner, you got to meet the spouse.
Yeah,
You got to meet the wife. You got to meet the husband. And you have to see how they interact with each other. You have to, like, that is so important to me. Like, are they on the same page here? Like, does she want this business? Does she want him to go out and get it? And not that, like, not that, well, I guess it is his fault if like she's not supportive and she's like, I don't even want him to do this. Like he has such a great job at the dealership and I don't know why he's leaving to go do this. He makes 300,000 a year and like she's very negative or and like just not supportive. Red flag.
yeah.
Too high of a
And
risk.
to even add to that, some states require that your spouse sign off on the deal. Like in Arizona, we are a community property state. So if one person, enters into a business deal, their spouse is also named in that deal because it's community property. So technically, you're going into business with the couple, not just the individual.
100%. And I put on here in big capital letters, you will never win that battle. If they can't win that battle, you will never win that battle as their partner.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Their marriage has to be on solid ground. If it's not, your business relationship will suffer.
Absolutely, because they're going to come in an emotional wreck with all their problems and emotions and integrate that into the organization. And when you got to make big, strong decisions, and that requires you to be emotionally intelligent and poised and just logical, like you can't have that emotional partner who's bringing all of that fire into your business because you're not going to be able to be as sharp as attack as you need to be because you got this whole situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Um,
also you run the risk of them divorcing.
yeah.
And so there's a lot there. I mean, we can unpack that all day, but Yeah,
Yes.
just getting the spouse on the same page as well. What was another one that you had? Partnership, anything?
So kind of just building off of what you said with the spouse, I would go as far as the whole family, like the immediate family. You
Yeah.
know, like your partner's home life needs to be secure and stable because anything that's going wrong there is going to spill over into the business.
Yeah, absolutely. Even getting the kids on the same page. What's the
Yeah,
nanny situation? What's the care situation? Like especially if they have like an infant or something, you kind of have to understand, and not that those are deal breakers, but just understanding that they have a plan.
right.
If you have to travel or you have to be away from your kids, how is that going to affect them? Um, that's important because when you have a business, you have responsibilities and obligations. Like for me, I'm okay with stepping away from my kids for a couple of days to go out and do a business transaction or build a relationship or like whatever has to be done, and I'm not emotionally a wreck about it, but I know a lot of people who are and would be an
Yeah.
emotional wreck over that.
Oh yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a cold mother. um Yeah, another one that I had, oh, like what's their communication style? Poor communication. This is big. I see a lot of partnerships that they're like they have amazing operation. Like it is like you could tell that they've done the work, but it's falling apart because partners have really bad communication. And that comes in many different forms. That could be like not setting clear expectations from the get-go. Like when you went into this agreement, this marriage basically, and saying, these are my expectations. This is what I'm looking to get out of this. This is, like my vision of what I want. And they didn't communicate that entirely, and maybe the other partner is relying on them for operations, and this person's thinking, I'm going to go into this partnership and I'm going to go on vacation and I don't have to be here. And then the other partner, once the going gets going, it's like, wait, where's Frank? Like, why isn't Frank here? And he hasn't seen him in 4 months. Like, that's crazy. So being able to communicate right out the gate, but also when you're operating the business, having an effective communication style.
Yeah. I would say, that highlights the importance of not only your operating agreement, but like, how am I trying to phrase this? So the operating agreement would be established when you form the partnership.
Yeah.
But you also want to communicate the expectations for communicating throughout, throughout time.
Yeah.
You want to have regular meetings, whatever that looks like on a weekly, monthly basis, and keep that clear channel of communication open. That's vital to the success of any business.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, like in the beginning, if we're talking about red flags and potential risk, are they answering your calls? Are they responding to your emails? Are they on it, or are they canceling on you last minute? Like, what are the behavior patterns that you're seeing based on communication? If, oh, well, I thought this and that, like obviously there's an issue there if it's not leading us to our results that we need to get here. So don't miss the red flags on your potential partner's communication style in the early stages when you're just starting to have this discussion. How are they communicating? Are they blowing you off? Are they dismissing certain things? Are they just kind of like, shrugging things off and, oh, it's all good, or maybe they over communicate. Maybe they're needy. Maybe they're clingy. Maybe they need you to be their mommy. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not like, we communicate, but like, you're going to have to also be a self-starter here. I'm not going to carry everything for you. That's another part of communication that could be a red flag, an over communicator. Like I'm talking like narcissistic, too much, just too
Right.
much.
Oh yes. Um, You made me think of another red flag, which would just be your gut, your intuition. Like if something feels off or feels wrong, maybe you can't identify exactly what it is, but you've got this internal feeling that something's not right. I would say trust your intuition, like trust that feeling. If something seems off, there's probably something there. And that to me means you just need more time to observe and really contemplate whether this is the right, partnership for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I completely agree with that. Um, a note here that I have is if they are unwilling to compromise.
Yeah. Well, in any kind of, partnership, compromise is it's necessary. If they're not willing to compromise, it's not going to be much of a partnership.
Yeah, I've never met anybody in this world, and I've met a lot of people. Like, I've been a lot of places, a lot of cities. Like, I've met a lot of people in my life, and I can say I have never found two people to be exactly the same and want the same and think the same and have the same ideas and have the same expectations and want the same result. Like, it's not a thing. Like everybody is so unique on their requests and their expectations and their personalities and all of those things. So being able to be so different from others and embracing that, there is going to come that time where you do have to meet in the middle and you have to compromise. And there's an upside to everything along with a downside to some things, and you've got to be okay with that. And I would say pick your battles like based on what you're compromising about, like if somebody's giving you something but taking something, like that's an exchange that I think can still work, and when people just say no, I want it my way, and I've learned this, like, I'm guilty of this, I'm totally guilty of it, like I want things this, but I've realized that when you want partners and you can't do this alone, like your pride and your ego, that's got to go out the door like immediately or it's not going to work. And that's where having great partners who, in my experience, can be like, Jen, like I see your point of view, but you're going to have to compromise a little bit. And
Right.
I'm like, you're right. And I think that's a beautiful partnership to be able to like have that respect, be completely transparent, be like, you're going to have to compromise a little bit here. And it makes sense. And you're able to have that open discussion, but compromising, I think this is hard for a lot of people.
It definitely is. I don't think compromise ever feels good. But when it comes to compromise, like, I think both parties want one thing and they've both got to be willing to give something up. You know,
100%. Yeah.
uh,
But you got to look at the wins. You have to look at the gains. Like, yeah, we're taking a little bit away over here, but on the backside, like it's solid,
exactly.
you
Yeah.
know? And I think that's a great compromise. And even in like our um what's the word? Our business, what's the word I'm looking for? Like relations or deals or whatever you want to call them. Like I've had it that hard time on what's the word? Oh, I look at the wins, I look at the good things, and I'm like, this, it's gonna be great. And I look at the upside and I don't look at it right now how it is. I look at like 5 years from now how it's going to be.
Cool.
So I have to like really take a step back and be like, okay, I'm gonna pick my battles. This doesn't have to be exact because we can work on that. That's going to get better over time and we're going to grow and we're going to expand. And this is not like the end all be all, like we're going bigger. So don't get caught up on this one little thing that you need to compromise with and blow the entire vision because you don't want to set your pride to the side. So that's definitely been something that I've had to learn along the way. So compromise is a two-way street. It's not a one-way street. And it's a give and take for sure.
Definitely. And I
Yeah.
would even add to that nothing's perfect. No
Nothing.
partnership is perfect. No business is perfect. There are always going to be issues. So when you say pick and choose your battles, not all of those battles are worth having. You just have to make sure that the ones you do choose to have are worth it in the long run.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about someone who's like really reluctant to share control,
To share control,
like a
well,
potential partner?
so I would say
Like they're
that
unwilling to share like decision making, like or power, like in some way, like they're just really, really,
right. Well, in a partnership, that's necessary. Like anytime that you're going into a partnership and multiple people are going to be named as owners of the business, you're sharing control. Like
Yeah.
regardless of what you want to put in the operating agreement, everyone has control that is named as an owner. So if they're reluctant to do that, then they're reluctant to have a partnership. I
Yeah.
would say that is also a red flag.
Yeah, absolutely. But remember, we can't go big alone. So
Yeah,
you're gonna have to give up a little control to go really big.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You do. And again, it's just communicating that upfront. Specifically when it comes to control, I feel that control is an illusion. There's very little that we can
Yeah,
control outside of ourselves in this world.
totally.
So
You're so right
anyone
about
who
that.
exactly, it's not worth worrying about because things will happen that are outside of our control.
Mhm.
But
I feel that.
again, it goes back to just having those legal agreements in place and being able to protect yourself in the case that X, Y, and Z happens.
Yeah, 100%. And like, what that kind of also, I don't know, you know how my brain works, but I kind of think about it like this, like, yeah, you don't really have the control even when you own the business. Like once you get to a certain size and are a certain point, like you've kind of lost all the control. I mean, you still have control. Like you get to decide whether you burn it down or, like at the end of the day. But maybe not. Maybe the people will totally like come together and like fight you. Um, but yeah, you really don't have all the control, and that's such a blessing. I think that that's an amazing place to be in where you don't I don't want to have all the control. I think that that's like that sounds awful
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I had all the control before and that's not fun.
Um,
No.
it's at a certain level as well, it's not sustainable. There's only so much that you can do as an individual. And when running a company, the whole point is to put people in place who can take things off of your plate. And
Hmm.
at a certain level, your company should run independent of you.
Hmm. Yeah. And you want people who are able and capable of taking control and to make it successful. I think that makes a great leader, and
Yeah,
you're serving them. You're like, how can I help? How can I be an asset? I don't need to control anything. I just want to be an asset and I want to make sure that I give you everything in order for you to perform successfully. And
exactly.
I think that control thing is just kind of a indication of not so great leadership.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's
Yeah,
definitely a red flag if they're not willing to relinquish control in some sense.
absolutely. I want to add this one in. It's kind of off of what not exactly related to what we've been talking about, but people's reputation, any negative like industry reputation or any type of just negative talk about this person that maybe you hear about or maybe they've been part of. You want to kind of look at that a little bit and not dissect it to the point where you're not like we understand that people are going to get backlash. It's a thing, like Ryan and I, a lot of people don't like us and we're totally okay with that. By the way, I want to let everybody know that we are good with it. We don't want to be liked by everybody, but when we say a negative industry reputation, we're talking about scamming people out of money. We're talking about pulling some type of hoax or maybe hurting somebody physically, financially, I don't know, doing something terrible to somebody. You've got to look at the history, kind of like what does their record look like? Um, and is it valid? You want to make sure it's valid and the source, of course, but you don't want to associate yourself with somebody with a bad reputation, because now that's a reflection of you.
Exactly. Yeah. That goes back to what you were saying earlier about just getting to know the person. Because I wouldn't say, it's a bad idea just based off of rumors or hearsay.
Yeah,
But if there's documented proof of them scamming people in the past, then you probably don't want to join hands with this person. That's a huge red flag. And you are correct in saying that the partnerships that you have, that is an indication of your values and who you are as a person.
100%.
So it's important to be mindful of the type of people you agree to join hands with.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let me ask you a juicy question.
Okay.
If you were to, okay, if I'll just say, if somebody is willing, I know my answer. If somebody's wanting to join hands with a partnership and they are skeptical, or they kind of have a little bit of information but it's not confirmed, maybe poor relationships with clients or investors or like stakeholders or prior employees, would you take it upon yourself to investigate that and reach out to these people to see if it's true?
I absolutely would. Yes. If I had concerns and, I was contemplating joining hands with another person, I would be very transparent about what my concerns are. I would tell them, what I've heard or what I've read, and give them a chance to, explain their side of things. And I would even go as far as asking for references. I want to talk to people that know you better than myself and hear what they have to say about you. I think that just goes along with vesting the people that you join hands with, and there's nothing wrong with that. Um,
Yeah.
you have to know this person.
Yeah.
It's not as simple as just, oh, this is business and it's separate from my person. No, when you're running a business, your business life is commingled with your personal life. It's all the
100%.
same. So
Yeah.
you have to get to know your business partners on a personal level.
Yeah. When I think about like the lioness, like when I think about like what is my job of like the empire, right? What really comes to mind is like protecting the empire. And I'm so weird about people coming in that kind of have a bad reputation or a bad rap. I'm very like I tread very lightly with these people, because I don't like, I got to protect the environment and you have to protect your environment. So you're just one bad or like just not so good relationship away from really tanking something that could be amazing just because of like one bad apple. So I remember like years ago, when Ryan and I were like really getting going, and we would like come into contact with people who had reputations, and I'm like, no, like don't entertain it. And like he didn't really understand that. And I think a lot of women have this instinct, like I can like sniff it out. It's so weird. Like I don't I like having that instinct, but it also, you kind of look like a Looney Tune to everybody else because they're like, dude, I don't see it, right? But being able to like read the room and read the people, and I think that's a great skill, or a gift. I guess it's not even a skill, it's a gift to have, but to really sniff out like who you're doing business with. And I just like, I always think about like the lioness, like at the gate, like with her paws like this, like waiting, to like just attack anybody who's going to come in and mess this thing up. But you've got to protect your empire and in your atmosphere. And if you can eliminate and avoid the bad apple, like by all means do that, even if you have to go the extra step of investigating.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. I would say, like we have a very strict process for onboarding employees and, just going through that interview process. It should be more extensive when it's a partnership.
Oh yeah.
What we do is very simple compared to what you should be doing for your business partners.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. We had one interview one time. Do you remember the kid that walked out? But he's like, yeah, the people at my current shop told me that, at 10 360, you're not gonna get hired because they're gonna make you do like a presentation and all this. And I was kind of proud of that. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, we do have standards, and you can only imagine our partnership.
Oh, yeah.
Because our employee interview, we just want to make sure we align. We want to make sure that we're setting that person up for success as well, not just ourselves. Um, so those are like the red flags that we have. But let's kind of talk a little bit on why you form a partnership and some of the benefits of having a partnership. We'll kind of end it on a good note, like why we should have partnership. Something that comes to mind is just different skill sets. So I don't like to enter into a partnership just because there has to be a benefit for both parties. For me, somebody may, or for an a business transaction like a partnership, somebody could have a skill that I don't, and vice versa. Like Ryan is a great partner for me because he has a skill that I don't have. You have a skill I don't have. And then I have a skill that you guys don't have. Like, Ryan and I both can communicate with people. So we both share that same skill, but like he's very tactical, like the hands-on guy. Where, I'm personality, but I'm more of like, I kind of dive into my work privately, and I can put things together. I'm a lot more creative, the visionary, and putting all the pieces of like building the business together from like a creative perspective. You're more of like the analytical, um, dissect the numbers, and I love that too. I think that's amazing. I secretly I wish I was good. I was like as good at it, but I'm like, I don't need to be that good because, that's what makes it so great. But having somebody who has a skill set that you don't have,
Exactly. Yeah.
leave the
That's it.
ego out of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't be ashamed that you don't have that skill.
Exactly. And to add to that, within a partnership, you can focus on your strongest skill set. We watched a video recently about that, how, like everyone in your organization should have just a few things that they are very skilled at, and that should be all that they do. And then you add people to the team who are strong in other areas, to fill in the gaps. But that is the primary reason for a partnership. So you can diversify skills across your organization with all your different partners.
Yeah, absolutely. They double down in what they're really good at. We're not going to focus on trying to figure out and rewire me and make me learn all these skills that I'm not good at and I don't have. I'm just going to double down on what I'm good at. I'm like, I got it. It was funny. You and I were having the conversation about like branding and like putting together like brand
Um,
kits and things like that. And like, for me, I can do that super quick. I'm like, boom, like here's our logo, here's our images, this is what the brand's gonna look like, da 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 da. And I can see it, I can feel it. I know what I want the brand to feel like. I know what I want people to think about and feel about our company when they think about us, and like put that into design work. And you're like, I I tried to mess with Canva one time and like I was done,
yeah,
and I thought that was cool because for me it come very natural, but for you, you were like, not my deal. But like you put me on a spreadsheet and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm calling you for help. I'm like, how do
Right.
I, yeah, no.
Right. But
um
that's
I
what you want in a partnership. You want that diverse set of skills.
Yeah, you can't have everybody wanting to be the chief at the same thing.
Mm.
You can't have like a bunch of chiefs, like no Indians, and everybody's like hogging this one skill set. Well, I'm good at this, and like this is my lane. This is my city, like not cool. Not cool.
No,
Um,
definitely.
what are some other things? Expanded networks, like they have a network you don't have,
Yeah.
being able to tap into that. I think
So I wrote down explosive growth, and that's something that you mentioned earlier. But that is why you go into partnerships. Like you can grow a
Faster.
lot faster. Exactly.
Yes, agreed. Like you can expedite your process if done strategically and right, and everybody's in position and ready for launch. And I say like you're standing on your sticker, like you're in position, you're ready to go. You can experience a lot faster growth.
Oh yes.
I think it's a happier journey too.
I think so. I mean, no one wants to do it alone. That's stressful.
Yeah, it is stressful. I know, like I don't understand the one man shows. Like that to me, I don't discredit and I don't demean that. I'm just saying like I don't get it. That would just be really, really mentally and physically exhausting for one person to do. Another thing, in some cases, not all cases, in rare cases, improve capital. Like you have access to capital.
Yeah,
So, you can attract somebody who's, more on the investment end and you're not really the money person. This could be a really great opportunity because you have the idea, you have the business model, you have the experience, you have the skill, but they have the money.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. And especially as you scale, to certain levels, you can look at, targeting investors, and that's all that they do. They invest money into businesses in hopes that they're going to grow and generate more revenue for everyone. So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Any benefits that come to mind?
Um,
Explosive.
I yeah, I would say from just the brand perspective,
Yeah,
when you join hands with other people, that's expanding your brand. Um,
true.
Specifically, just I don't know how to phrase this, but just name recognition.
Yeah.
It goes in line with explosive growth, but it's going to happen a lot faster. Joining hands with people versus trying to do it all yourself.
Yeah, well, I'll give an example of that. Like imagine like a manufacturer, I won't name off any manufacturers, but imagine a manufacturer who is wanting to be in every market. Like rather than going out and creating a bunch of small businesses that they build and they create on their own and placing people and processes and the financial investment, the time, all of that, the manpower that they would have to take on. They go and connect with existing businesses and they plug in to that is a beautiful partnership because the small business needs product, they need a manufacturer, they need support, but then also the manufacturer needs clients and they need cash flow, so that makes a great partnership. So they're not just going to go out and start a bunch of small businesses that sell their product. I mean, you could do it that way. How long is that going to take you?
Exactly. Exactly.
Especially if you're starting from scratch.
Oh, yes.
Some people like have a hard time just like finding and hiring one sales rep. Like, could you imagine trying to open, 400 locations to sell your one product? That would be stupid,
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, stupid. Well, yeah, it would be a little stupid, but go join hands with people.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. You
Um,
dominate a lot faster.
oh yes. Another point that you just mentioned was time. And this is maybe a long-term benefit of a partnership, but
Yeah.
in theory, it should give you should be buying back time. Like a partnership should give you more time for other things and freedom. You should have more freedom. You shouldn't have to worry so much about the day-to-day of the business because you have partners who can handle that, whatever their niche is within the company.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. One thing that I think about that I've recently learned, like, and I have talked to you about this before. So like 6 years is better than two.
Yeah.
So like, and what I don't think I've said that exact phrase to you, but what I love about like having like this team of people, kind of like the board of directors, if you will, um, like council team, whatever you want to call it. But it's so crazy how we all hear things differently. So we could be in a meeting or we're discussing a transaction or, whatever it is, and you hear things differently than I hear things, and then Ryan hears something different, and we're all like in the same room, we're all gathering the same information and the same like vocals, and we all come up with something different. And it's so cool because I think that's what really forms a strategy, and it triggers ideas, and it really like ignites that creativity, and you're able to like go to your drawing board like together and be like, okay, boom, 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 this is the plan. And
Exactly.
because I'm like, holy shit, Andrew, I didn't even hear that. You heard that? Like, were we at the same table? And that to me is like what really excites me. You don't get that on your own because you only have one set of ears
Exactly.
and one brain. That process is completely different than somebody else. Like my motherboard and like software up here is way different than yours.
Oh yeah. No,
So
but that's
that's
a that's a
cool.
great point. Like partnership fuels collaboration.
Yes. And it was so fun. Like, I think that's super fun, and we can laugh about it. And I love that. And I think also, with a great partnership is great friendships. It's not just about business at the end of the day. Like, yes, we have goals and we're trying to reach for something really big through business, but great friendships, like being able to create a bond with people and laugh about things and be able to share funny stories and enjoy life together. Like we were talking about like Bora Bora and like Mexico, and I'm like, woohoo, like I can't wait to go and do those things and celebrate our wins together as, not just partners, but also as friends.
Yeah.
And I do hear a lot of people say, I'm not in the business of making friends. Like, I'm not here to make friends. And I do understand that there's a time and a place for that mentality for sure. Cause I do remember being in that place. But I think as you grow with the right people, they become your friends and your family. And I think that is such a beautiful place to be. And that's honestly like something I really appreciate and cherish. And I want other people to be able to experience that. But that took time and a lot of years of like falling outs and not the right people, and not, like going through it just like everybody else. And it doesn't happen overnight, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to go out into the world and find those people and be open to partnership and be open to collaboration and having the open mind and the emotional intelligence to know you don't have to do it alone. But also being careful through your pursuit of partnership as well.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay, that
I
was church.
yes.
That was church. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say I couldn't agree more. I'm aligned very much with all of that.
Yeah, yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun. Um, well, I think that's gonna wrap up our call. I think that we covered pretty much everything. I think that yeah, we covered everything. Just having the resources through collaboration, um, but just making sure that you're aligned with that person and sharing the same vision, and making sure the wife, the husband, they're on board and the family's on board, and you're really crystal clear about your wants, your needs, your expectations, what you're looking to achieve out of this, and where you're going. If you're not clear on where you're going, partnerships are gonna they're gonna they're gonna sink. So make sure you're crystal clear about what you want and where you're going. And then you find the people to join hands and share that vision together and build on it.
Oh, yes.
All right. Well, that was great. And this is fun. Next week, I don't know what we're going to talk about next week yet. But we'll think of something. Any ideas? Any suggestions?
Mhm.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing off the top of my head, no.
Okay. All right. We'll definitely think of something. But thank you.
Wow, I think it's a good.
Oh, go ahead, Camilio.
Oh, sorry. I think it's like I wish I know all you guys told me today before a couple of years ago, but I'm already there. So like we're figuring out things, right? So especially when we were
Yes.
talking about the partnership, we were talking about the partnership. I like it was like I have a wave of work. Like have a lot of things to do, and I was like a one man show. One of my friends show up, and he just helped me out like certain things. So in the end was like, okay, he helped me out and we worked together for like a month. So of course I pay him. And in the end he was like, you know what? Like I can be your partner. So I have some savings. We can start working there. And at the beginning was everything looks like, oh yeah, yeah, let's do it, let's do it, let's do this, let's do that. Like, everything was like amazing, right? But once we start growing up and we get a new location, which is like a bigger place and stuff, we start like, okay, you do this and I will do this. You will do this and I'm doing this, right? And at the point right now, and where we are right now, and he's always in the back of the shop working, and I'm always sitting on the computer. So what I find out like a couple months ago was he find that like he thinks because at the beginning we were both hands on the work, we were
Mm,
working as a partner, but because right now I'm in front of the computer answering the phones, making appointments and this and that, he's doing the job by himself, right?
mm,
So
mhm.
like actually like a week ago we have a conversation. We had a conversation and he was telling me like if I'm not here, this stops. Like because I'm doing the job. And I was like, yeah, but if I'm not bringing the customers, so you don't have nothing to do at the back, you know?
100%,
So
you're
we are a
right.
small company. We are a small company. We're like 7 people right now. And he's like the boss of the people on the back. And I
Mm-hmm.
say like, guys, you're 6 at the back, so I have to make sure you all have something to do. So I have to call the customers, I have to answer the phones, I have to follow the leads. I'm working with the marketing place, like the marketing agency. They want to do meetings every single time, and when I'm on the meeting with them, I'm thinking like there is the phones ringing, that nobody's answering those leads and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So at that point, was like, I'm more stressful sitting here on my desk than you guys working at the back, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah, you're
But,
right.
yeah, but as right now, I think is not many people feel what the other people is doing. Like they feel what they are doing. They are seeing their job as like like a very important part. And I'm saying that that's important as well. But they're not feeling what the other guys doing, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes like because my kids play hockey, so I'm running around between the arenas and stuff. But I'm always on the phone. I'm always on the cell phone. I'm missing a couple goals because I'm answering things. And he's
Right.
like, you can be anywhere. You can be anywhere. You are not living here. At the meantime, I'm here doing the job. You know, I have to be at the place, taking the cars in and out, talking with the customers, explaining things to the customers and stuff. You know, so it's like it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to see.
I think that you really just have to sit down and have a conversation. And it's not to discredit him and like all of his efforts. And I'm sure he's working incredibly hard, just like you are, you know. But this is where transparency just really comes into play. And sometimes people just don't understand what it truly takes to build. You know, you guys getting on the same page is going to be really important because it sounds to me that possibly he's a little burnout and a little tired, and that's, you know, to be that can happen for sure. Um but we got to talk about what the future looks like. You know, it's really important that he trains and develops people to duplicate himself so that he can get out of that role to help you build the company, build the sales team, you know. You have to duplicate yourself so you both are in different roles and positions and have different responsibilities. And also part of partnership is respecting each other's roles and understanding the value in each other's roles. This is where humility comes in. You know, you have to respect one another. So, you know, I would sit down and I would just have a really transparent conversation about where the business is at, what it actually needs. And it could just be because he's in that technician mind. he hasn't made his way to the front. See, a lot of technicians think that people at the front and people in sales kind of kick their feet up a little bit and it's really easy. And it's not really easy. It's very challenging. It's just a different type of work, but it's hard work as well. So you got to have the conversation, especially if you two want to continue to grow, which you're here. So I would assume you want to grow. You just have to have a really honest conversation, and maybe just bringing to the light, you know, a couple issues and giving him some insight on what you really do, you know, could really help you guys and trying to improve the situation.
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, like, I try to be like really transparent with him, and I told him, even if you want, we can switch roles. I can be on the back because you have more helpers. All you have to do is just direct the people correctly. You know, like, because I feel that sometimes we're all running around behind like the ball. You know, like the little kids are running there when they're playing soccer at the beginning. They're all running around. See, that's what I'm feeling. What's happening in the back. So maybe if you organize a little bit and you lead your team, something that now, if you want, we can just switch roles. I will be on the back because I know how to do the job. And he's like, no, you're good with the people. You're good talking. You're good with the funds. So probably that's your role, right? I'm better here at the back. So in the end, it's like to find out exactly what we're gonna do. And what I started like last week was we're gonna set on writing the roles, like what you do, what's your task, what you have to do, what are your responsibilities, when you're gonna be here, when you are not gonna be here, and what are mine, so we can start like deciding what we are doing or how can I help you. If you
Yeah, I
need me
think,
to take like something like the of you doing right now, I will do it. Like I'm willing to do it, of course.
yeah, absolutely. Another thing that I would do when I sit down and have a conversation is I would really try to just understand his personal, professional, and financial goals. Like, what does that look like? You know, because if he secretly, you know, hasn't really communicated it with you on things that he really wants out of his life, and he's feeling a little complacent, he feels like he's not making progress, and you might feel the same as well, you know, and he feels stagnant and just like he's not really feeling it anymore. You have to know that. Because part of a partnership is lifting each other up. And if it's not fulfilling the other person, we have to figure out a way that they can still positively contribute to the company. But maybe that means they're in a different role. They're doing something different, you know? So understand his goals. Like, where is he trying to go in his life? What does he want out of this business?
Okay.
Because if you don't know
Okay.
that, how are you supposed to set yourself up? Does he
Yeah,
want
of
to buy
course. Like
real estate? You know, does he want to invest in other companies? Does he want to travel the world? Like, is there something that's not happening for him in his life that he's frustrated? And he could just be picking on these little, you know, baloney issues, which they're kind of minor, but they're not minor at the end. You know, they are, but they're not. And it could just be some bigger issues that maybe you guys haven't talked about.
okay.
You know, Andrew, any input
Yeah,
on that?
good to know.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. I think you guys are doing the right thing and having these conversations and trying to work out your roles right now. But being transparent and really asking those tough questions, trying to gauge where each of you want to be in the future and making
Yeah.
sure that aligns.
Yeah, in the short term and the long term.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
I will do it for sure.
Yeah, if you ever have any questions, let us know. But thank you so much for joining us today. And we will be back here next Friday again. Like I said, I don't know our topic for next week, but I'm excited. I'm always excited. So yeah, but until next time, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week. And don't forget to go on Spotify. Automotive Upscale, new podcast will be dropping today. I talk about
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much,
dog
guys.
training
Thank you.
stories. Yes, have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Andrew.